Hey, experts, we've got something really awesome that we do here at Coffee Experts Club, and that's called the My First Drive-Through Coffee Masterclass. So if you're opening your next coffee shop, I think a lot of times you may think to yourself, I know what goes into opening a coffee shop. I've been doing this for years, but maybe you've been doing it for somebody else. And maybe this is your first option of starting a coffee shop on your own. Or maybe you don't know anything about coffee and you're just like, I'm looking for a good investment opportunity. Starting a coffee shop seems like a good place to put it, and you're going to enter into it. But what you don't know is all the things that you don't know, right? And so what we've done with this masterclass is taken behind the scenes, how you find your first location, what you need to be thinking about in finding a location. We give you a gift in the masterclass where it's a step-by-step process of how you're opening your coffee shop, the different checkpoints you need from coming up with your plans and talking with the city and then negotiating a lease. And then how do you build a team and what are the different pieces you need to be thinking about? It's a great masterclass, door to door, start to finish, completely free on opening up your next coffee drive-through. So check it out. It's at myfirstdrivethrough.coffee, and it's a great masterclass. You won't regret it. We'll see you on the inside there.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Coffee Experts Club. Back in the house.
Oh.
Good to see you boys. Drew, because he's down there in beautiful Belize. And man, it's easy for him just to rub that in, just the beauty he gets to be surrounded by it all around him. But I was walking through my Pacific Northwest fall colors and just thinking, Drew, what you can promise yourself is it's not freaking crisp. You're not seeing fall colors in bloom. You're getting the beach life, you're getting the jungle life, you're getting the beauty of Belize, but fall in the Pacific Northwest is pretty special, man.
It's true. I was just walking down the street and there's this nice, huge hibiscus wall, so that was pretty nice for me. It had some cool colors, but they weren't really fall colors.
I think I messaged you and I was like, I love fall here because it's windy in the fall. So like all of the leaves off my giant 2 trees in the front get blown down the street.
And all your neighbors are like in their 70s, right? So they're like, that freaking young kid just blowing leaves in our backyard.
The great thing, okay, I gotta sidetrack the story. The beautiful thing is the neighbor right next to us last year took out his lawn, did the old guy thing, took out his lawn, and they just did zero scaping, just rock and bushes. He look over there now, and he just has leaves covering every.
Dude, I'd freaking hate you so bad. I would hate you so bad.
Oh man, I'm just like, well, another windy day. Nice for me. Sorry, Carl.
All right, Carl, you should wear a shirt. That's amazing. Hey, so as we're coming to the turn of the seasons, we thought we would talk about it. Coffee experts, thanks for tuning in, first of all. And then number two, as we're coming to the turn of the seasons, I think it's really important for us always to ask ourselves, as we're going into a selling season, right? We really want to sell. People are out there shopping, right? They're going to be probably frequenting us maybe a little bit more often. We can obviously push our socials. I know we've got our big annual birthday coming up here at Coffee de los Mayas, where we're going to have our big $2 drink a day, right, Drew? That's our deal. Drew just takes a deep breath and just breathes out slow, just thinking about how he's going to have to deal with it. But maybe you've got like something ceremonious that you're doing, something celebratory. It's around the seasons. Really being clear, both eyes open on, are our prices still the right prices? Like, is this still like what we should be charging per cup? Because I think sometimes we can fall asleep on that, like in the middle of promo, in the middle of drama. Drew, I know you're just talking about the drama in the stands, and then maybe you're going through drama of your own, or, maybe it's scheduling problems, or maybe you're trying to open a new location. Drew and I are trying to get our third location open by January, which can be a son of a bitch, like just trying to get things across the finish line, right, with the lands department for us and getting all the different permits and things you have to pull. Anyway, we can get so lost in the sauce, as Ben likes to say, that we forget to ask ourselves the really important question on, do our drinks still make sense from a price point perspective? Ben, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, man, I love to talk about that. It was one of those, it was like, I feel like it was every year. I honestly would say like every 6 months doing an evaluation of your drink pricing, especially like in today's day and age. It was really relevant for us in Washington State. I know what kicked it off was there was legislation passed of a minimum wage increase by quite a lot, a huge minimum wage increase, but they also built into that it would increase in relation to inflation over the next, I think it was 6 years.
Yeah.
So like we really took a step back and we're like, okay, wait a minute, how we obviously over the next 5 to 6 years, our prices have to change just based off of the baseline amount that we're paying our employees. So if you don't have those things in the back of your mind, if your minimum wage for us, our minimum wage over that 6 year period, I think went up about $4. So what does that look like for your labor costs, and how much do you need to increase your drink pricing? I mean, you can just, if you want, eat that as a cost. I wouldn't recommend it, but like you'll have to look at, okay, what do my drinks need to increase to keep up with inflation of just my cost of goods if inflation's going up, but B also, now my labor is going up as well. At some point, something's got to give. I know we talk about all the time, using your cost of goods as your primary driver for cutting costs, and you can do that, but at a certain point, you can't have the $1 Americano that we started off with, 12-ounce $1 Americano. In today's day and age, that doesn't last forever. Like at some point, that has to be $1.75 Americano or a $2 Americano. And the trick and the fun of the game is figuring out how can we raise prices that doesn't piss off our customers, but also covers our bottom line.
I love Ben's $2 Americano. Ben just told us offline, we were talking, Ben has recently had a little one, I think she's like 10 months old right now, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
She turned 10 months. And Drew was asking him something about one of the local bars. And Ben's like, bro, I just don't go out anymore. Like Ben is just stuck to his home. And I'm like, I can't remember the last time I paid $2 for an Americano, Ben. Like it's been so like, but I was thinking like, for me back in the day, like probably even just a year or two ago, it was like $2.20 for an Americano. And now when I go in and I'm always just a small Americano, right? Short and strong. Like that's just like me. That's what I always say, right? Like short and strong. Right? Anyway, but like going into an Americano these days, like I feel like I have a hard time finding it south of $3. And it's so crazy because it's like, we're talking about hot water and 2 shots, man. Like how much cost could there be in that for you? But maybe Drew, what are your thoughts on that? I know we did a lot of price hunting, a lot of price searching when we were like setting our menus both on the island and inland, and maybe talking about when does come the time to change prices, and do you change prices for all your drinks? Like my Americanos, like how much more are you going to try and squeeze out of me, bro? Like how much could my Americano possibly charge you to like, whereas it seems to make more sense when you're putting a lot of extra stuff in it, right? Milk gets expensive. Other commodities start getting expensive. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into how much you're going to charge for a drink in the first place. We have our obviously high ticket things, and they're higher tickets for a reason. The ingredients are going to cost more, or, it's harder to find those ingredients. And then there's the simple ones such as espresso and water. And we have down here, we have our double shot is the same price as a small Americano. And so when, considering how much you're charging for your drinks today, I think what's going to go into that decision on which drinks to raise the price on and when to raise the price on those is to have systems in place. And I know Ben created this nice tool that kind of showed us a cost breakdown of what we're spending on each drink and then how much we're actually making on each drink. And so when our, economy changed in Tri-Cities, we had that tool, and it was really enlightening to see which drinks we had a margin for raising the prices on, which made sense to raise the price on. Now, down here in Belize, we have the mainland store, and then we have the island store, and the island is a lot more a vacation spot. So rent higher, we have higher wages, we have a higher cost getting goods out there. And so we in real time change the prices without, an actual economic shift, but it really is a different economy over there. So we were working our way into that. And we kind of looked at some of the drinks. Some of the drinks cost us much less to make. As Aron, you mentioned, how much are you going to squeeze out of me for this American? So we didn't raise the price on something like an Americano. It's actually the same price in both locations. The same thing for our energy drink because it's very low cost for us the way that we created it. And so going through the things that we spend money on, if you have a good relationship with your milk vendor and you buy in bulk, you can kind of whittle down on some of your prices and give you a better, more insightful opportunity to raise prices on things where you have a higher margin for some drinks and some of the margins really slim. And so that was kind of how we made educated decisions, was seeing those slim margins, and when prices are going up everywhere, where can we kind of make up the difference for ourselves?
And honestly, like your tool is pretty sexy. So if you're listening to this, or if you're following us on our socials, I would just say comment in any of our socials, send us an inbox message and just say cost per cup, and we'll just send you out that tool for free. You don't have to pay us for it. Now, there are all kinds of tools that are included in Coffee Experts Academy. So if you haven't seen that, coffeeexpertsacademy.com, we give you a new tool every single section, which there's 35 modules. So there's tons of amazing tools we created for coffee vendors just like you, but probably bigger than you, right? Some of our coffee clients that had, 5, 10, 15 locations, we created some really cool tools. We make all that stuff available on the Academy, that I'd give you this one for free if you just want to shoot me out a message. But Ben, tons of kudos to you on that for really breaking that down. Maybe you want to walk people through what are some of the things that you looked at when you created your tool?
Yeah. I mean, it all stemmed out of this exact conversation of, hey, we need to raise prices. How much do we raise prices? And then the next obvious question is, well, how much are we making? And I mean, I can see the revenue per day, the revenue per hour, the revenue per week, but that doesn't tell me, like, I don't have a cost of goods attached to each of those revenue numbers every time I go on my POS. So my immediate question was, okay, well, our top drinks are 60-ounce blended drink, 60-ounce energy drink, an iced drink, and a hot signature drink. Like, I don't know what do each of those cups cost every time I put it out the window? Like, I have a general idea. Maybe it's $3, maybe it's $2, maybe it's $1.50. But I was like, if we want to raise our prices like as efficiently as possible, and by efficiently, I mean only raising what we have to when we have to, I should probably know, like, down to the penny what each of these drinks costs. So I pulled our cost of goods, all of our invoicing for our milk, our dry goods, did an average on our labor costs at the time, and got that tool down to, okay, here's what this drink costs per penny, essentially, for each and every item: straw, lid, sleeve, ice, milk, some flavoring, espresso shots, and then added modifiers. Okay, what happens if I have a drop down menu, if this is a triple shot, or if it's a quad shot? How does that affect the retail price? So then I have my cost of how much the cup actually costs me to make. And then I put the retail price right next to that, how much we're charging for it. And then obviously, retail minus your cost is the actual revenue you're making on the drink. That obviously doesn't take into account payroll taxes, the lease on your building, but it at least gives you a good starting point to say, okay, this is how much I'm grossing off of this cup. So then from there, I can see, okay, well, to Drew's point, the margins on our 60-ounce blended drink are not that great. Like, that's an expensive drink to make. But the margins on our energy drink are huge. That's great because, we have our proprietary on energy drink. We could effectively leave that price the same. I don't have to increase that, but maybe just add a small increase on our blended drinks to bring those margins back up to a little more even, which is great because I can tell all of our high school students that your energy drink is the same price. It will always be the same price, but your blended drink, man, that's fine. Maybe I'll just run a promo on energy drinks. So what we can do there is, if on the week that we're raising prices on some of our other drinks, we can run promos on our high margin drinks, knock them down, maybe not take a $3 profit. Maybe we take a $2 profit on those drinks, but we're driving people to our high margin drinks. They're buying those, and effectively it doesn't hurt as bad that we're raising prices on everything else. Cause, like, I just got a huge deal on the drink that I love. Oh, they raise prices. I never get that anyways. I get my energy drink. So we're kind of, it's like giving and taking at the same time. That's what you always want to do when it comes to price increases. That's one thing that, we smartly did at Roasters was, if we're going to raise prices on you, we have to increase the value we're giving you for that. You have to feel like that price increase was worth it. So if we're going to raise prices, well, we're going to do a whole slew of deals so it feels like that didn't hurt as bad, because your blended drink that you get once a week is now a little bit more expensive. Your energy drink that you get 5 times a week, well, that's been on promo all week, so you feel good about that.
Yeah, and the last thing we really want to do is have the customers feel the burn from prices increasing. And as you mentioned, some of the things we provide as just a value for their time coming back. And so, we would invest in things to make that experience better. We would run deals at the same time, but investing in operationally a way to increase the customer experience was also a way that we kind of paid back for having to raise prices.
Yeah. If we're going to raise prices, we're going to make it faster for you to get to the drive-thru. We're going to implement a new running system, a new POS system, so that while our prices sure are rising, you were able to get to the drive-thru a lot faster, and you felt that value as the prices increase. Totally true.
Thinking of all my friends in Indie Coffee Coalition, just thinking about the hundreds of thousands of dollars we've saved coffee shop owners just like you, who are not franchisees, who are looking for deals on their fat mix and their energy drinks, why should the franchises get all the deals, right? Indie Coffee Coalition was built with the idea of saving you, the little guy, tons of cash. So if you're a coffee shop owner, you have 1 to 3 coffee shops, and you're serving blended drinks or energy drinks, we can substantially save you money and keep more money in your pocket. Set up a call. I'd love to talk with you. Indie Coffee Coalition, keeping money in your pocket.
Something I really love about that tool too, Ben, and once again, as we talk through this tool, guys, just drop, I don't know what I said the first time, but cost per cup in social medias, drop us a message. Cost per cup, and we'll send you out the tool. The other thing I really loved about that tool, and we'll just send you that for free, is you put next to it competitors. Like, and I think it's really smart, like as you think through how am I dropping my price, that you go out and you check out, like go within a mile radius of where you're at and see what other people are charging for your exact same drinks. Because I think it's really important to ask yourself, because sometimes you can almost like be nervous about it or uncomfortable about it. You think about a price range. Well, great. Go see what your competitors are charging. And I would say, try a couple different competitors, try a big box. You know what I mean? Try another independent, try, a franchise, like go and look at some different places where they're all charging, they're all doing coffee, right? None of us are doing something so unique that we're not using the same base or using a very similar combo of flavors to get to a very similar place. Hopefully it's your culture that's different. Hopefully it's your emphasis that's different. Hopefully it's your give back. We interviewed Bentley's Coffee a couple weeks back, and their big push is pet owners, and they really honor people's pets, and they learn their pets' names, and they've got a pup cup that's actually healthy for the dogs. And like things that they've really leaned in. That's what sets you apart. That's what makes you unique. Like the way that you're treating your avatar, the way you're going after your avatar. But really when it comes down to base drinks, our drinks aren't that crazy unique, So like go through and really challenge what are our competitors charging, and then it'll kind of help you feel better on where your pricing lands. So there's the evaluation side of it, Ben, which your tool is badass at. I love the way you can change how many shots does it get and how many pumps of it does it get. And like you have this different ways that you come to contributors in coming up with price point, but then right next to it, you have, okay, and what are our competitors charging for a like drink? And then you come up with your own decision on how much of a raise are we going to make on prices. I think it's a really smart way to do it.
Yeah, I know for us, our competitors, at least locally, the two biggest was Dutch Bros and Starbucks, right? And so when we're looking at the pricing too, is we like to kind of sit right between the two. We considered ourselves a higher quality products and experience than Dutch Bros, but obviously everybody wants to be cheaper than Starbucks because that's the best way to steal customers. So we tried to position ourselves right between the two, because there's also a bit of that consumer mindset that says, well, if your Americano is only 75 cents, it probably tastes like crap, so I'm not going to go there. So we wanted to position our pricing a little bit higher. It says, hey, we are a little bit more of a premium product and experience than Dutch Bros, but you're not going to have to pay some big corporate guy at Starbucks to come get a good cup of coffee. That was also a huge portion of why I wanted those competitors there, is because I want to position us where we think we're meeting the consumer exactly where we want them. We're a good product that should cost something, but we don't want it to destroy your wallet. So this is where we're going to position ourselves in relation to our competitors. And I think it worked out really well for roasters. It gave us that brand awareness to the customer that, hey, we're not just like some gas station coffee. We do have a good product and good experience.
Yeah. So I'd say like recapping the things we've covered today. Number one, if you're going to raise your prices, how can you still benefit your people? I thought that was a really good point that Drew made. Or how can we, or I think you may have said it too, Ben, on how can we give them a discount on something where we maybe have more profit in as we raise prices on other things? So there's a feel good in the middle of something that doesn't feel so good, right? None of us like seeing prices raised. I don't love walking into places and seeing my Americano's gone up in price, but if you're running a promo and you're making me get a feel good, like I'm taking my kids, they get their energy drinks like $1 cheaper than they were last time I bought an energy drink, then maybe I don't feel my Americano up, 50 cents or 25 cents or whatever you have to raise it. So we talked about like give them a good feeling as you're raising your prices, like with a promo. We talked about really doing an evaluation on your costs. What are my current costs? What am I currently paying? How does that contribute to what my cup should cost? We talked about comparing that to your competitors, right? Like, how am I lining up with my competitors? I think all those things should go into anytime we ask ourselves, should we be raising our prices? Maybe we could just talk about how frequently we should raise our prices. Drew, I remember back in the day, Wes would come in and he'd be like, we need to raise our prices. But I will say, like, Wes always was really sensitive too on not wanting to do it too frequently, and then even when we did do it, how can we do it with slight increments that actually was very not noticeable amongst, like, how can we increase it by a quarter? Could we increase every drink by a quarter? Could we increase every drink by an increment, or maybe not all drinks, but some drinks? What are your thoughts on frequency and then like amount of, like, you don't want your drinks to jump a buck. You know what I mean? Where you're like, hey, we've been charging really too low for too long. So now we're going to raise our prices to the rest of industry standards. And
Yeah.
people are like, F you, I'm not paying another dollar for my drink. I mean, like, you get the revolt, you know? So what are your thoughts on that?
Frequency and the amount that you're going to raise can kind of be tied together. I think we should have an end goal in mind, which is important to pay attention to the health of your economy. And Ben was great at that, and seeing, forecasting what is going to be happening in our area. What does our town look like? What does our city look like? What types of initiatives are happening? And one of them we were chasing was minimum wage raises. So there are costs that your business is going to have to take on in the coming days. And that's just kind of how things work. As the economies get healthier, things shift and change. And so to have a goal in mind, like, we need to raise, this is what's going to be happening. Here's a dollar amount we have in mind within our city. These are some extra costs, and then how much of that are we going to have to take on as far as changing our menu prices? And then, as Ben mentioned, we know which drinks we have margins on. And so if we have to raise everything across the menu by a total of $2, distribute that equally across the different drinks. And how do we not hit every drink all at once? Because, ideally, we're not having to raise prices at all in a perfect world. But we do have to raise prices. So ideally, we're not going to hit every customer at the same time. We were able to analyze how much drinks we're selling in each category by hot, ice, blended, energy drinks, things like that. And so we could see, what the frequency was of the people buying each category of drink. And so we could hit each category from a tactical perspective and slowly raise the prices in that sense. And we keep talking about 25 cents because I think everything on our menu was at a 25-cent increment. And that was mostly for the purpose of consistency, simplicity at the window, simplicity at the end of the shift, taking care of the money. But if you're raising something 25 cents and really all you need is $12.50 for different drinks, then you can hit one drink at 25 cents. And then the next time hit the other drink at 25 cents. And whether or not that's 6 months out, a year out, what does that look like? How many stores do you have? What is the actual cost of changing menus at 15 stores? Something you have to take into account there too. So the frequency, if it's 6 months or a year, or even a year and a half, 2 years, I'd say just have a plan of what number you're looking to raise across your menu. And then you can space it out in a healthy way for your guests.
Mm-hmm. I will say too, there is something to say about doing it more frequently than you would want to, just because I think the year mark that every 12 to 18 months might be the golden spot, because if you wait too long, like, costs are always going to go up. That's just a part of the world we live in right now. Your cost of goods will always go up. And if you wait on your pricing, if I have a $1 Americano, I remember this vividly because we held on to, we have a $1 Americano. You can come here and get an Americano for $1. This was, of course, in like 2010.
Right.
But we held on to that for so long, and we refused to raise that price, that when we finally were forced to, people were pissed. From $1 to like $2, and we had to raise up. It's huge. We could have been breaking that price increase down to 25 cents at a time over a series of 2 years, but instead we went from 0 to 60, and people were not happy about it. So I would say, don't be so afraid of raising prices that you just never do, because at some point you will be forced to raise those prices, and your customers are not going to be happy about it, because that $1.50 leap in price hurts a lot more than a 15-cent increase or a 25-cent increase every 6 to 12 months, or 12 to 18 months. So it's touchy, but at the same time, like, your costs will always go up. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen cost of goods go back down to 2010 prices.
Yep. I think too, I think it's really important to give your baristas some artillery, right? Give them a narrative. What's the narrative they're saying when a customer challenges them at the window, right? Because the last thing you want is some 18 to 20-year-old kid coming up with some narrative of why you raised your prices. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to have a good narrative. Whatever they come up with, maybe they're part of a group that they're like, yeah, man, cost of good. Everybody in the society, there's a lot of negativity around rising prices right now, right? And maybe it kicks them off into their own rant, and then they have a terrible customer experience at the window because the kid's already bitter about how prices are rising and they're having a hard time paying rent, So what's something that you can give your people simple storyline, right? Like it
Sure,
doesn't
sure.
have to be, you don't have to get into all the different pain points and implications. It's just like, hey, we saw a real rise in milk costs over the last 6 months. So we had to therefore ratchet it into our cost of goods. We saw a real rise in beans. We saw a real rise in labor. Like give somebody a simple storyline that they can follow that people can be like, no, that actually makes sense. You know what I mean? But then give them an attaboy too. But hey, we've been really trying to run more promos lately because we know it hits people's pocketbooks. So, I hope it helps that we've been trying to discount down our energy drinks or whatever it is that you're
Yep.
doing, just for the sake of giving your kids a solid storyline so they have something good to say out the window. So it doesn't turn a bad situation into a worse situation because the kid is scrambling and they start pouring gas on the fire, not realizing they're pouring gas on the fire. And then that person drives away more angry and then stays away from your stand for the next few months while they cool down. I think it's just
Mhm.
smart to give your kids like, give them something to talk through, give them talking points.
Yeah, I think that speaks directly back to our point of adding value whenever you're doing that. Best way to do that is like, sorry, but we're doubling everybody's rewards points for the next week every time you come in. A,
Yeah,
get them
that's
coming
good.
back. B, gets them signing up to your rewards program. And again, they feel like, okay, I'm at least getting something out of this. Like I'm getting the free drink faster than I would have before.
Yeah, it's good. All righty, boys. Well, we've been talking about prices for a long time. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, guys. I feel like this is really applicable as we come into holiday and wanted to make the best bang of your buck out of the drinks that you're putting out the window. Check your prices. If you want the tool, let us know. We'd love to get it to you. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in today for Coffee Experts Club. Ben, Drew, always a high honor. Appreciate you, boys. And we'll see everybody next week here on Coffee Experts.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.
Hey, experts, we've got something really awesome that we do here at Coffee Experts Club, and that's called the myfirstdrivethru.coffee masterclass. So if you're opening your next coffee shop, I think a lot of times you may think to yourself, I know what goes into opening a coffee shop. I've been doing this for years, but maybe you've been doing it for somebody else. And maybe this is your first option of starting a coffee shop on your own. Or maybe you don't know anything about coffee and you're just like, I'm looking for a good investment opportunity. Starting a coffee shop seems like a good place to put it, and you're going to enter into it. But what you don't know is all the things that you don't know, right? And so what we've done with this masterclass is taken behind the scenes, how you find your first location, what you need to be thinking about in finding a location. We give you a gift in the masterclass where it's a step-by-step process of how you're opening your coffee shop, the different checkpoints you need from coming up with your plans and talking with the city and then negotiating a lease. And then how do you build a team and what are the different pieces you need to be thinking about? It's a great masterclass, door to door, start to finish, completely free on opening up your next coffee drive-thru. So check it out. It's at myfirstdrivethru.coffee, and it's a great masterclass. You won't regret it. We'll see you on the inside there.